Hey, hey, it's Berta J. Come on into my kitchen with me today. Today we're going to do something that I find very fascinating. I've learned how to make maple sugar. It's one of the sugars, the dry sugars that I told you, sweeteners that I told you about on my previous video on sweeteners. It's very simple to make. All you need is a pan with high sides. You need a wooden spoon, a thermometer, like a candy thermometer, or one that's going to measure at least 265, 270 degrees. And I'm going to only use a cup of maple syrup, but however, you could use 2 cups, 3 cups, 4 cups, however much sugar you make. I've done this before, and what I found out is that however much syrup you start with, that's how much sugar. It's a little bit more how much sugar you're going to end up with. So the first thing you do is you put the maple syrup into the pan. Put the pan on the stove at a medium-high heat. Once it starts to boil, it's not going to take very long, but once it starts to boil, it's going to boil pretty vigorously. It may even boil so it goes up the sides. It may even look like it's going to try and come out of the pan. And that's where your trusty wooden spoon comes in. Don't use metal. Use wooden. This is really bamboo, but same thing. And you're going to stir it. Keep stirring that bubbling. Don't turn it down or anything. Just keep stirring that bubbling mixture and it will subside. It'll start to go down. What you're waiting for with this bubbling is that you want the syrup to reduce to about half. It doesn't have to be exact and you don't have to take some kind of measure, but just look at it and see if where it was bubbling before after you stirred it, it's about half that much. And it's going to turn darker brown. You're going to let it turn dark brown, half as much. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your thermometer and you're going to make sure that it's between about 257 to 262 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere in there. If it's a little bit higher, that's okay. Once it reaches that, take it off the stove and then you're going to start to stir with your wooden spoon vigorously. You're just going to stir and stir and stir. Just keep stirring really, 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 really fast. And once you do that, this is where the actual syrup, the bubbling mixture, turns into maple sugar. And then after you've done that and it's turned into sugar, there are going to be little lumps too in there. You're going to take a sieve, put in the granular now maple sugar, and you're going to shake it down. What you're going to end up with is a lot of little lumps, little tiny, not really tiny, some are going to be pretty big. Don't throw those away. What you're going to do is take them, put them in I'm going to use a Vitamix. You can use a blender. Put them in your blender and blend them up. And what will happen is it'll turn into sugar as well. So now you've got the sugar from your blender as well as the sugar that you've made on the stove. And you will have about a little over a cup of maple sugar. And you can use it one for one, just like however you use any other dry sweetener. You can use it one for one. I think it's a little bit sweeter, so I would do like 1 to about maybe 3/4. If you use 3/4 of the maple sugar, because it is a bit sweeter, to a cup of regular sugar. And that's really it. Now, after you're all done and you've made your sugar, set that aside. In your pan, you're going to have a lot of caked on residue from the boiling and the drying of the maple syrup, but you're not going to throw that away. What you want to do is to take 2 cups of water, put the 2 cups of water with the residue that's left in the pan back on the stove to very, very low, and then you're going to start just stir with a spoon, and all of that sugar that's been left in the pan is going to start to become watery. It's going to be mixed in. And you can use that maple sugar water for some kind of drink. What I used it for is limeade. You just take a whole lime, you juice it, and then you take the zest of about 1/4 of that, put it back into your Vitamix. I added 1 tablespoon of the maple sugar and added some ice, and then I had a nice drink. So don't throw away what you have in your pan. Once you're all done with that, you have got not only a drink, but you also have a dry sweetener that is all natural and that you've made yourself. So I hope you will do this and enjoy it and use it just like you would any other dry sweetener. Let me know how it turns out for you. Leave me a message below. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions about it. You could probably even use it, just last thought, you could use it in any of your drinks. If you drink coffee and you put a little sugar in, try maple sugar and it'll give it a nice taste. Or your tea. So, with that said, I'll say my usual. Bye for now. See you next time.